if you guys notice in front of your name, it says RO, like say RO7. That just means that's your reader number. That's the number you're gonna read in, at the order you're gonna read in. So I'm hoping that my Germany friend's okay.
I'm fine.
Okay, perfect. I want to make sure especially people that are far, far away, like Germany and Ontario, they're okay because it's late. It's not morning yet in Ontario, but it is late there.
I'm nothing compared to Germany. Oh my
Well,
goodness.
that's true, but compared to us, it's late there. And there's
well,
oh my
that's
gosh,
true.
it's Lori, it's Lolly B or Lori, welcome, Lori. Lori, are you gonna read tonight? Are you gonna or do comedy via Zoom?
Hello.
You
I
listen-
don't know, how full is your slate, Karl?
We have room. We have room for you. We have room for you.
Are you sure?
I am
You're not
sure.
just saying that?
No, I have 2 spots left, and now we have.
Story I told you.
If you read, we'll have 1 spot left.
Yeah.
So we have 2 spots left, so you can read.
Port
Or do
Alberni
comedy.
International Poetry Hub.
So is that? So I put you on the list then, Lori?
Okay.
Okay.
How you been keeping, Lori?
I'm okay.
Good. Oh, what were you doing on stage the other day? Oh, were you here for the art rave party on the weekend?
So she's now.
Yes.
Ah,
Yes, I was, along with several other performers.
good. How did it go? Good time?
It was an excellent evening. Yes.
Good.
Yes. And we raised some money for Art Rave.
Beautiful. Yeah, I had
Yeah.
hoped to make it and didn't in the end, but I saw a post on Facebook.
sorry.
It looked like a pretty full house. It's nice to see.
It was good. It was a good turnout.
Cool. I feel like the lighting on my face is kind of like for a horror movie or something. I don't.
Maybe we're doing a. You never know. Maybe we're going to do a. This is a horror movie.
I should be
Sometimes.
Vincent Peale. I'll have to do my Vincent Peale imitation or something. Getting close.
Yeah, but sometimes they want just their part, right? They just want to have it for them, and not nobody else. Sometimes too. Keepsake. Yeah.
So that's the equinox for the next
Yes.
time.
Yes, the 21st we're going to do, I guess, instead of the 28th or whatever it was in between. So we'll get it in before Christmas, which is kind of nice. You know, we can join. Do I need to join audio, Char?
No, you don't. You did, no,
No.
no, you don't need to.
Okay. All good. I just had a little flag show up. Join audio.
No.
I'm on.
Sorry, is the next night is the 21st, not the 28th?
That's
Yes,
right.
I will be putting it in the chat to remind everybody.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like I always do. I always try to put it in the chat. So
Yeah. So, and I'll mention it too here and go over the different way we kind of do it around Christmas. It's a little bit more relaxed and
yes, I like to be more relaxed.
We're going to get more relaxed
I know we're so uptight here.
as opposed to now.
December, we want to just slow. You know, who cares about being uptight? The rest of the months will be uptight, but the rest of December, well, it's a relaxing night.
So Kathleen, congratulations on the anthology publication.
Yes. So, don't
It's
tell me
actually
to say
been
great.
purchased now.
You're going to put it in the chat so I know where to order my copy, right?
It's the don't tell, right? It's part of that don't tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
already in the chat by
Okay.
because Pat's part of it too.
Perfect.
Pat and David. No, Kathleen. Is David part of that too?
No, he has no.
David.
We've
Just
been-
kidding. I'm not part of it either. So
We've been
It
rubbing
has
it in on
actually
him, but
been
he didn't.
printed last week.
What's that, Kathleen?
It was printed last week,
Oh,
so
good.
it actually exists.
Perfect.
So Kathleen and Pat, it's part of it.
In time for Christmas. That's,
Well, when we'll see it in British Columbia, I don't know.
I see. Okay.
You know,
Where was it published?
Pat? Is that Wonneck?
No, it's out of Ontario, Demeter Press.
Oh, that's right. It's
Donna Sharkey and Arlene Paré
mhm.
were the editors of the anthology.
Okay.
Nice. Good to see you, Pat. How have you been keeping?
I've been doing well. Yes, nice to be back. It's been a long time.
So glad we got you here as a feature. We get to enjoy you for a little longer than the normal brief thing. That's super. You're going to play some music for us. That's even better.
I know we have an iPhone connected.
Do some reading and do some songs.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Sounds good.
And welcome to Peter Paul Van Camp. I think that's, you're muted, but that's okay. Well,
There we go.
Hey, man, how are you doing?
Hello, Derek. I'm very well, thank you. And I wish we were going to be there in person tomorrow, Mark and I, but I guess we can do that in May. And by then, everyone will know who we are.
Yeah, all right.
Hello there, iPhone, whoever you are.
Yeah, it's a little gnarly driving out there right now. Yeah, you don't want to come right now.
I don't know who that is.
But yeah, it'd be great to have you here in person as well. Well, I think we're just about ready to get started here.
Oh,
I'm going to give Char the moment to do the last minute checks.
and welcome to whoever's on the iPhone. Welcome. No.
And nice to see Lesli back again from Germany. Hello.
So look, oh, she's like in a warm room. Looks like a wood stove behind her, or a gas fireplace.
It's not on though, not this time of night.
Okay, ready?
Okay.
I don't want that there. Electric Mermaid Emcee Derek Hanebury is a Port Alberni writer of poetry, fiction, and creative nonfiction who taught writing here at North Island College for many years. His latest book, Both Sides Now, is a collaboration of short fiction and with two of his past students. He has a book already out called Something Else Altogether.
Thank you, Karl, and good evening again, and welcome everybody to another episode of the Electric Mermaid, coming to you from beautiful downtown Port Alberni, live at Char's Landing. Nice to see so many Zoom people joining us tonight, as we don't have a lot of people in-house. I think it's the roads have scared people away. We had snow, and now it's freezing up and getting icy out there. So we're coming to you from the unceded territory of the Hupetcheseth and Sishat First Nation here in Port Alberni, and grateful to them for sharing their land with us and allowing what's going to happen here tonight to happen, which is going to be the sharing of lots of good writing, and looking forward to hearing it all. We have our feature reader, Pat Buckna, tonight joining us from Powell River. And lots of open micers signed up, so we've got a full slate for the evening. I think we're one short from capacity, so that gives us a little buffer in there, which is fine, just fine. So I want to say a big shout out before we get started to Char, the hostess at the mostest, who keeps this thing running, does the Zoom, runs the Char's Landing operation here in Port Alberni at the same time, and basically has kept Electric Mermaid humming along throughout COVID and everything else as we sort of semi-return to normal. Will that ever happen again? Probably not. But anyway, we're really grateful to her for all she does to keep the literary arts alive here in Port Alberni and beyond, as the Zoom audience shows. So we're going to start tonight with a reading from in-house here. We've got a new reader, Shawna, who's joining us. And I'm not sure if she's going to read poetry or prose. Poetry? She's nodding on the poetry. So she took her life in her hands and drove in from Sprout Lake this evening. Those roads can be gnarly out there. So we're really glad to have her here in person. And the mic is all yours, Shawna. Take it away.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I did a little pre-poem just for all of you initially. Very short. How do I pick which poem to recite at my very first open mic? When I've been seeping like a tea bag for the past 10 years, through the anxiety and the fears, the joy and the tears. So I've decided to choose a poem I wrote last Christmas Day, where I promised to let go in 2022, to move through the fear of sharing my heart with you. I think I've made it in the nick of time. I hope you enjoy this rhyme. It's called I Surrender.
Good.
All I want to do is write and recite, but I'm so afraid to let go, to enter the realm of what I don't know, to take that step forward, to reveal and show all of what I create. The artist afraid of showing their art, the creator afraid of revealing their heart. Creations that arise from the dust and fall out of the light and the dark within us. It's like the ground holding tight to a seed, not allowing it to grow, that is me. Cracked wide open and ready to bleed, to sprout, to shout, to let it all out, but still only done within the mind in secret. This tightness and restriction is both my torture zone and comfort zone. What my body and mind most know. My ribs a cage, my mouth the door, unlocked and unhitched, refusing to soar. Refusing. Perhaps there is no greater pain, living within the pit of self-doubt and shame. Still a wild stallion cannot be tamed. Tight, wound up in a ball, afraid to be seen, to speak, to fall, choosing to ignore the pull and the call, so the light cannot flow in as I spin and recite the sin between me and my kin, between me and myself. No ending if I keep on with this fight within the self. Holding in everything my heart and soul yearns to say, I can no longer continue to live this way, holding back each day. I'd rather spew venom and spit than continue to live constricted like this, each passing moment, one step closer to death, the walking dead refusing to rest, not allowing the soul to let go of their art, their creations, and all of which they sow. For my soul and my heart is what creates all the art. And these two aspects of me that birth these words through me will not allow me to hold tight anymore, you see. It's do or die. It's do or die. It's choosing the risk of life over the safety of a lie. And I choose the risk because I'm 1 inch away from dying. I'm done with the compression and the crying. The resistance so strong, it will not allow me to take one step left or make one step wrong, only judge, fearing the words in my heart's song. Don't die with the music still in you. The words of Dyer that spin around in my head each hour. The spinning that doesn't stop. The seed that is ready to pop through the ground. No longer will I continue to muffle its sound, ready to unveil the crown, to dare step out in the gown and stand in the light of glory, telling my story, both the beauty and the gory. the seed that is you, that is me. The ground will no longer smother me. So as I move into the 222, I hand over the reins to you, where light knows the way, where the fork in the road becomes what the soul yearns to say. Will she go left or will she go right? It no longer makes any difference, as long as I no longer stand in the middle, refusing to give up the fight that wants nothing to do other than conceal my light. Because the harder we fight, the harder it holds tight. And the harder we get. Turning hard is what will be my regret. For when we turn hard is when we forget. And we must not forget. We came here to stay soft. We came here to stay open. We came here to stay in love with life. So I surrender the knife. Now I know what it means to surrender to life. No longer afraid to see what happens to my life and to me in this next year leading up to the 223. Thank you.
Beautiful, Shawna. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That was awesome. Yeah, just so many lines in there just resonated with why we're here. I just really enjoyed that. Thank you for joining us, and I hope you'll come back and share some more with us on December the 21st. We're going to keep doing this, and that line about not dying with the music still inside. Yeah, that's it, isn't it? We've got to be ready to take that risk and get out there and share it. So thank you for taking that risk tonight. Enjoyed it.
Thank you, and thank you for this awesome opportunity. It's just beautiful here at Char's Landing, so thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And hopefully next time it won't snow and the place will be packed. But the Zoom audience really enjoyed it too. I was watching some of the faces and they were quite rapt. So. All right, we got our next reader is Joy Sheldon. Join us from the Cowichan Valley. I don't see her on there. Oh, Joy, we're missing you, and we missed her last month, so I'll have to check in with her and see what's going on there. All right, we'll jump right along then and move over to Gibson's Landing, and David Kippling is going to share some reading with us tonight. We're going to let him go ahead of Kathy tonight for a change. We know you're feeling bad because she got in the anthology and you didn't. So this, it's all yours, David.
That's because I don't do the work. Okay. Last time I read the beginning of a science fiction story, and this is the second half. So most of the people here don't know what I'm talking about. Nonetheless, here we go. Her shoulders had risen in revulsion as she grabbed for the rosary at her throat. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for our sins now and at the hour of our death. The reconnaissance flight over Corbière had been 2 days ago, but the furor since was opening cracks in all directions. Ordered off further flights and out of her lab and banned from speaking publicly about the events, Shirley sat now in the medical director's office and watched a trapped fly fussing against a corner of the window. She envied the fly's blind optimism as it battered its head full of insect hope against an indifferent sheet of glass. Shirley looked past it hungrily into an empty Mediterranean sky for help. But none came back to her, no matter how she pleaded with her long-ago girl's heart that she was now calling up through the layers of her tough adult mind. Nothing. Demons had danced in Corbière, in the pit that had once been the Place du Soleil. The Place du Soleil had opened and demons had danced. Worse, they had danced for Shirley as she cringed behind the vomit-spattered windshield. The dirigible's recording instruments had been on, the head analyst had the recordings, the engineering group had her smoke-stained airship in quarantine, and now the medical director had Shirley confined here within the complex of the government special research headquarters. Behind the preposterous executive desk, the medical director played with a printout of her report. Then, with a practiced move, aligned his polished paperweight and drew off his glasses. So, any change in your feelings since, 2 days ago? A little calmer, I imagined. Busy mind starting to relax. Clearer headed? The fear stank in Shirley's armpits. She shrugged against the steel chair back. The director nodded to himself and tipped a form and sat back in the manner of all directors to watch her flounder. Shirley, I may call you Shirley, but Dr. Ferris, if that would be more comfortable. We have 2 reports, narratives if you like. On the one side, his wrist flipped an open hand, a malfunctioning infrared camera, and a battery of heat sensors that you say have been calibrated and checked, but somehow were switched off at the time you say you saw these phenomena. So no actual data, whatever. On the other side, Shirley, his other hand now did that dismissive flip, your own out-of-character reports. Your audio report now. The radio transmission sounds like a hysterical, no, wait, hysterical is a word, frantic, frightened then, nothing wrong at all in itself in being frightened, an almost incoherent streak of shouting by yourself, alone in that airship cabin. Shirley fought back the memory of the loathsome creatures. He continued, there we have it, 2 different narratives of that aborted reconnaissance over the center of Corbière. Surely they did not correlate. Shirley spoke as if speaking to the fly, sensing that it might understand her better than the male human across the desk. The daylight cameras worked. They recorded it all, she muttered. Her hands fought each other silently in her lap, longing to touch the pocket where the olive wood beads of her rosary lay. The medical director flicked his hands dismissively. Heat waves, Shirley. We saw heat waves, mirages. It was extremely hot around Corbière that day. There were gusts. My meteorologist told me the Scirocco can reach here even from North Africa. From the salt flats, from the west wind from the Camargue perhaps, the air, the wind, the deceptive midday sun overhead, it's natural. The cameras showed us dust devils. I'm sorry, that's what they're called, dust devils. Litter, puffs of sand, shadows, Shirley, shadows. The man was tossing around ideas frantically like confetti. Your dirigible was throwing shadows across those irregular building shapes. Shapes changing, flickering, sun glaring through that windshield. You were there, half-inch armored glass, yes, not optical glass, crude armored glass, not too clean either, eh? All sorts of refractions. You're not at all to blame for a momentary mistake. The director pressed a button inset in the grey surface of his desk and closed his manila folder. He now assumed a puzzled air. Now, for some time, Dr. Ferris, my staff have noticed, even commented on, some icons that you sometimes wear. Of themselves, of course, decorations, trinkets, whatever, not a problem, and of course not this department's business. A crucifix was mentioned in passing. Normally one has one's autonomy in such matters. Now, however, they give a little cause for concern. Here you are, scientist, a trained engineer too, solid record, until now utterly reliable. Some impressive work in the last few years, a career to be admired. But now you believe you have seen, well, you used the word demons during your reconnaissance. Demons, Shirley. That was the word you chose. Shirley reeled clumsily out of a chair, letting it spin like the now frantic fly at the window. Its hopes and her hopes were unraveling. 6 demons, she shouted. There were 6 demons down there. They were foul, malignant, not inert material, not animal, and not illusion. They're here now in Corbière. I saw them, and they saw me, God help me. Saw you, Dr. Ferris? These hallucinations in your mind somehow saw you? Really? Shirley walked to the window. The steel handle was gummed with dust and paint. She wrestled it up and pushed the glass, and the fly escaped to whatever safety there now remained for flies or for anyone in this new world. Then she turned and shouted at the director. They came at me. They climbed in the air. They rose. They didn't fly. They rose. Shirley's mouth contorted in a spasm of disgust. They gestured at me, looking at me. They moved. They showed me. Ah! She pressed a hand over her mouth and bit blood from a finger. He raised a hand to stop her. Dr. Ferris, you are pregnant, are you not? Happily pregnant, of course. I wish you well. And you, as a scientist, Pragmatic scientist who lives and works with knowledge, not with fantasy. You know better than those peasants out there on the Camargue. You acknowledge the real hormonal and neurological changes that pregnancy, in a perfectly healthy, normal pregnancy like your own, can produce. We were hoping that by now your intelligence would have dispelled the temporary hallucinations that confused you 2 days ago. And because I'm responsible for your work and for that of the SALT research team, responsible even to Paris at the end of the day, and because this unfortunate blip in your otherwise excellent work is distracting your own team and potentially causing some alarm among other staff, I have to, his soft hand brushed the button for a second time. The door clicked open and 2 unfamiliar medics stood waiting in freshly pressed tunics below their amiable and encouraging smiles. Dr. Ferris, hi, my name's Stephanie, Mrs. Didier, we're going to help you. That's it.
Beautiful. Thank you, David. Now the vomit that you ended on in the last reading makes all sense. Perfect. I think it's set in Quebec, is it? No, just the religious autonomy being questioned. That was, Anyway, very good. Thank you so much. We're going to actually go on to our feature reader now, Kathy, so you can sit back for a bit and take a little bit of a rest. So let's welcome to the Zoom screen Pat Buckna, coming to us from Powell River. And for those of you who don't know, Pat is an accomplished writer and musician. He's going to share a little bit of both with us tonight. Pat went to the SFU Writer Studio a couple of times in the past and has published Only Children, a family memoir that detailed his discovery of 4 half-siblings over the course of his lifetime, which must have been amazing. And the relationship between people and half-siblings has been researched. Is some fascinating stuff I heard on a radio program one time. We can talk about it sometime, Pat. But anyway, Pat grew up in Calgary, spent a number of years touring Western Canada, lived in the Northwest Territories and the BC Lower Mainland before moving to beautiful Powell River in 2010. He owns and runs a small recording studio on Texada Island and continues to write and perform locally. And his website, I think we've already got it up in the chat. Karl is so efficient. He's on top of it all. So without further ado, we're going to turn the screen over to you, Pat, and we can all just sit back and relax and enjoy Pat for 10 or 15 minutes, and then maybe have a little bit of Q&A if there's some questions afterwards. We're looking forward to it. Take it away, Pat.
Alrighty, thanks, Derek. What I was going to start off with is just a little excerpt from that new anthology that Kathleen and I appear in. I'll just, I think I have a link to their page here. I'll just share my screen here. This is it's an anthology with 59 writers. It's called Don't Tell Family Secrets, and one of the editors, Arlene Paré, was at the Writer's Studio when I was there the second time in 2009. And of course, we know Arlene is a great poet in her own right. And so I'm just going to do you a little short excerpt from the piece that I've got in the anthology. Just one moment. I'll just get it up here for you. The day before my 6th birthday, a new boy named Jerry arrives. He's come to stay with us. The new boy's much older, nearly 14, and much taller than me. Mom carries his suitcase into my bedroom, sets it on my bed, undoes the old leather belt that holds it closed, and says I have to share my room and even my bed with the new boy. She puts everything into the drawer of my dresser that she'd emptied earlier in the day. Before then, I never had to share anything with another kid. The next morning, Jerry and I both wake up at the same time and come out of my bedroom for breakfast. Happy birthday, says Mom. Thanks, we both answer. But it's my birthday, I say. No, it's mine, says Jerry. Don't argue, boys. You're both right. It is your birthday. You were born both on the same day, 9 years apart. Perfect. Now I have to share that with him, too. Where did Jerry go, Mom? I don't know. How come he left? things weren't working out. When's he coming back? I don't know. Will he stay with us again? Who knows? Stranger things have happened. Did he take the train? I don't know. Did he take the bus? I don't know. A taxi? I don't know. I go to the room, open the dresser drawer. It's empty. I look in the mirror. All I see is my face. That's how I met my first half-brother, who I wasn't told about. He just sort of showed up one day, and then he disappeared, and I got to meet him again about 30 years later, briefly before he passed away from ALS. And similar thing happened with my last sibling, Christine, who I found out about the day after my mother passed away. She was the family secret, and there's more about her in the story and also in my memoir. So what I want to do now is play for you one of the newest songs I've written. I was at a songwriting workshop not too long ago, and it was run by a musician and poet who said, okay, you've got 5 minutes, write a poem. And he gave us a prompt, and the prompt was it's too cold out here. And so I came up basically with this song based on that. It's too quiet here today. I can hear my days ticking away. Now that you've gone, well, I wish you'd stayed. It's far too quiet here today. It's too cold outside. Convince myself I really tried. Chilly wind blew our love aside. Now it's far too cold outside. I never worried about the bridges I crossed, everything I set aside, all the friends I lost. But now it seems that I've lost my way. It's far too quiet here today. Something bitter fills the air. Now I wonder how much I really care. Could have tried harder, set myself bare, but something so bitter fills the air. It's too dark everywhere I turn. Now I wonder how much I really learned. Well, I could have done better in showing more concern, but it's far too dark everywhere I turn. No regrets, that's what they say, but it's far too quiet here today. Too bitter and too cold, too dark and too alone, far too quiet here today. Well, I never worried about the bridges I crossed, everything that I set aside, all the friends I lost. Now it seems that I've lost my way. It's far too quiet here today. Far too quiet here today. Okay, I'd like to read you a little piece out of my memoir and a song that I just recently written based on one of the stories that's in there. My memoir, I started in 2001. That's when I went back to SFU, to the writer's studio, because I thought I was going to write a book about my first record album that I wrote back in 1982 when I was living up in Fort Smith in the Northwest Territories. And I had it all worked out before I started. My book was going to be one chapter about every song on the record album and the story behind it and where it came from. And that isn't what the book became. The book became this family memoir about the discovery of siblings and how being raised as an only child sort of changed my worldview and made me look at family in a different way than most people. So this one story here, though, is more personal. This is from high school, when I went to high school in Calgary. In grade 10, I studied Russian, French, and English, and back in those days, learning Russian was thought to be of some advantage for university. Our Russian teacher, a woman whose name I can't remember, was young, attractive, and patient. Our French teacher, Miss Hawley, or Mademoiselle Hawley, as she often corrected us, had any number of verses she made us memorize, including sing-songy rhymes, accompanied by flamboyant hand gestures. Our Russian teacher taught us the 33 letter forms of the Russian alphabet and highlighted the syntactical differences between English and the Romance languages. And twice a week, our morning classes began with Russian, followed by French, and by the time I got to English composition in the third period, my written sentences had become a pastiche of letter forms and grammatical constructs, which bore little resemblance to any of the three languages I was studying, yet paid homage to all three. Articles would either be left out or transformed into Frenchified le's and las, and nouns were written in Russian script, and letters like T and S often were replaced by their Russian equivalents. But Russian studies were canceled halfway through our second year, and our Russian teacher was pregnant and left at Christmas. And for our English teacher, appearances didn't matter so much. Gloria was a savior of sorts. She easily overlooked our grammatical abuses and spent most of her time gently pushing us to transcend rigid forms and exchange conformity for more individual forms of self-expression. And so just a few months ago, I was thinking a lot about Gloria, and I wrote this tune. It's called Just Chillin'. And something you should know, our high school was right across the street from a Dairy Queen. So, of course, we spent a lot of our time at that Dairy Queen. Across the street at the Dairy Queen, all the school cats are making a scene. Well, we're cutting classes and it feels just fine, stepping out across the line. Well, he looked out the window and he glanced at his watch. She ain't coming. She ain't coming. She ain't coming. Well, don't worry, I said, now she'll be here. She'll make it. Well, we cleaned out our lockers and we wandered the halls, dreaming about the summer and the end of it all. Just glad to be done with this boring high school. know-nothing teachers and their idiot rules. Now, Principal Brian, he's such a schmuck. Nasty old Jago, she really sucks. The only one who isn't a pest is our English teacher. Gloria, she's the best. Well, we stopped by her class just to say goodbye, and she waved us in as we were passing by. Well, what's happening, boys? She said with a grin. Well, not much, Gloria. We're barely hanging in. Say, listen, Gloria, I've got an idea. You'll like it. You'll like it. We're heading over to the Dairy Queen. Why don't you join us? Well, Gloria sighed, her voice filled with fear. You know, if they catch me, it'll end my career. Ah, you won't get caught. What do you say? Come on, Gloria. Come out and play. Well, we'll be there at 2:45. Come and join us. It'll be a blast. We'll save you a seat. Come with us. So we ducked out of school and we snuck out the back. Ran across the road and we never looked back. And we found a table with our backs to the wall where we could sit back, keep a watch on it all. Well, he looked out the window and he glanced at his watch. She ain't coming. She ain't coming. Well, don't worry, I said, she'll be here. She'll make it. A teacher's at the door. I heard someone cry. There's no way out, nowhere to hide. Then Gloria walked in, she waved to the crowd, let out a laugh, and then she sat down. She walked up to us, lit up the smoke. I told you she'd make it. So here we are at the end of the year, cutting classes, sitting right here. Coffee, cigarettes, and frozen treats. Everybody's chilling across the street at the Dairy Queen. At the Dairy Queen with Gloria, good old Gloria. Gloria Dalton, that favorite English teacher, you know. Everybody had their favorite teacher, and she was ours. So I might just finish off here. I think I got a few more minutes, do I, Derek?
Sure, yeah, one more is good.
Okay, I'll just give you one last little piece here. And maybe a bit of a short song that goes with it here. One afternoon years later, I'm sorting through Mum's papers and I find her will. She's made 2 bequests, one to Jerry and one to someone named Christine. The nurse leaves the room. Mum, who's Christine? Nothing. Christine, do you know someone named Christine? Mum's eyes unfocused, dull. Her color isn't good today. She said nothing all week. The nurse comes in with her meds, helps her with the straw. Mum drifts off again, her jaw slack, a rasp in her throat. Later she stirs. I try again. Who's Christine? She opens her eyes, stares past me. What is it, Mom? Her voice is raw but unmistakable. The ghosts. They're all in the closet. Mom, are you all right? She closes her eyes. So, and this is another song that came from one of those songwriting workshops, and we were given the prompt, songwriting prompt, called Waltzing With. And this is a tune that came from that. Waltz. Oh, just have to get set up here. Waltzing with my mother, holding her tight. If only I'd danced with my mother one time. Well, I know she would have loved it. I know she would have cried. If only I'd waltzed with my mother one time. And it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, dip, swirl, and glide. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, hold on so tight. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, whirl round the floor. Only to waltz with my mother once more. Well, I should have danced with my mother one night. If only I could have swallowed my pride. Well, her eyes, it would have watered as we whirled round and round. I should have waltzed with my mother one time. Waltzing with my mother, her hand clasped in mine, arm on my shoulder, holding me tight. I'd lead her around the dance floor and she'd stare into my eyes. I could have waltzed with my mother one night. Waltzing with my mother, there'll be no next time. She's been gone now such a long while. I can only imagine how much better it'd been if only I'd waltzed with my mother one time. Yes, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, dip, swirl, and glide. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, hold on so tight. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, whirl round the floor. Only a waltz with my mother once more. I wish I could waltz with my mother once more. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Pat. It's no longer cold in here or cold out there with that going on. That was beautiful, very heartwarming, and yeah, so many things ran through my head listening to you. I want to open it up here if anyone has any questions that they'd like to ask Pat, or just any comments on anything that you wanted to touch on about what he just shared with us there. Some beautiful, a nice balance of the reading the prose and the music. It's nice the way they can riff off each other. I especially like the one about the English teacher. Having been one myself, I don't know that I was ever that influential as yours, but yeah, we were lucky to have a few like that in our high school as well. And in fact, the drinking age changed when I was in grade 13, and so we all ended up going to the bar with them eventually. It was really quite nice. But anyway, I'm opening up there. If I see, oh, Kathy, go ahead.
Yeah, Pat. I mean, you're such a great reader and singer. Do you have a preference? Would you rather sing or read?
Oh, well, I'm probably more comfortable singing because I've been doing it for, over 50 years now. But I do really like, I like listening to writers read their own work. When when I was up north after I did my own album there, that first one, I did an album with a poet, and it was his words and my music. And it was the first time I had to sort of step back from being the singer to being the musician. And I really like that whole combination of words and music. They fit so well together, you know.
Yeah, I'm always jealous. You know, people who can play the guitar fairly effortlessly by the looks of what you were doing, and then give that, you know, extra voice to their poetry or their thoughts. It's gorgeous. Anyone else out there have anything they want to
When did
add?
you start to play the guitar? Like were you young or were you older?
Oh, I started when I was about 10 or 11. You know, I was part of that whole folk music thing, right? And I wanted to get my parents to buy me a guitar, right? So they took me down to Simpson Sears, and the salesman convinced them to buy me an electric guitar, but no amplifier. Not the acoustic guitar that I wanted. So I spent the first year with my sort of my ear to the guitar so I could hear myself. Because he said, "Oh, you don't need an amp. You know, you can get that later." And finally, I did get myself an acoustic guitar. But yeah, I wrote about that. That's actually one of the stories from my memoir too. Is about, you know, how you kind of know what you want, you know, but it's sometimes hard, especially if you're a child, to convince those who are in greater authority that you know best what's best for yourself. You know.
Totally. Beautiful. Thank you. All right. Anyone else there before we shuffle along? I can't see everybody. So if you're out there and you want to say something, just speak up. Go ahead. No. All right. Okay. Thank you so much, Pat, for sharing all of that with us. And I just want to remind people that his memoir, Only Children, is available on Amazon. And also the anthology, Don't Tell Family Secrets. We've got the link up in the chat if you want to pick either of those up. Don't be shy.
Yeah, here's a copy of the
Yeah, there we go.
of the cover from my book.
Yeah. There you go. Ah, nice. Beautiful. Beautiful picture. Yeah. Sweet. Okay,
Great cover. Who did the cover, Pat?
Oh, I did.
Wow! Wow!
Yeah, I did all the artwork. Yeah, it was some little bit of clip art and stuff, and you know, yeah.
Excellent. Beautiful. All right, our next reader, I thought it was going to be you, Kathy, but apparently our list never lies, and we've got Victoria Roscoe-Roumanis is next, and she's joining us on Zoom tonight. Not wanting to risk the icy roads to get here. We don't blame you. We're just glad that you're here, Victoria. You're going to share some poetry with us tonight? Oh, you're muted.
Down here. Yeah, there we are.
Yep.
Okay.
We got you now.
No, I didn't want to brave the icy roads tonight. And I don't want to fall. But I've got two pieces I'd like to read. It is the month of November, which is a remembrance month. And I've got two to share. Poppies for Nikita. Poppies. Beautiful red poppies reappear in November. Red poppies worn by many. Red poppies on white crosses. We know why we wear a poppy. Remembrance Day. Remembrance Day. A trumpet sounds out the notes of the last post and reveille, accompanied by silence. This day has always caused me to feel deep emotion for the lives altered and lost. In the past 3 years, emotion is even deeper. I remember Nikita. Nikita was a grade 12 student at ADSS who volunteered to play the two traditional trumpet pieces at West Haven Remembrance Day service. She was full of enthusiasm, ambition, a beautiful young lady with an obvious joy of life. Her future goal was to become a marine biologist. Only a few weeks after her amazing rendition of the two Remembrance Day musical trumpet pieces, these aspirations were extinguished. Riding her bicycle on busy 10th Avenue, she lost balance and fell under the wheels of a semi-truck. Tears fill my eyes, and grief tugs at my heart as I remember your grace and beauty, now lost forever. You played your last post. Poppies, beautiful red poppies. Nikita, you will never be forgotten as long as poppies grow. Emotional. And the second one is forest bathing. A brighter note. Drying leaves crunch under feet. Leaves drift down from above like colored snowflakes. An amazing palette feeds the eye. This is the time of repose for vegetation, necessary rest from spring and summer vibrancy. We do not grieve. We anticipate new growth. You will awake again in the spring. Enjoy your reprieve from harsh winter weather. Sleep well under the snow. For now, we will breathe in the beauty of bare limbs, absorb the calming peacefulness of their presence. We will be here to welcome you, your renewed beauty in spring, seeking you to refresh our spirit. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thanks.
That was a lovely tribute. That first poem, and I remember that young gal very well. It was a sad time. And I remember the beautiful Remembrance Day service at West Haven that I went to that time that you orchestrated. It's really sweet.
It was one of my favorite days.
Yeah. Meant
I
a
love
lot to the old timers there too, for sure. Yeah.
Well, they did. And you know, many times, many of the people, the residents, they weren't always very quiet. But you know, when we had that minute of silence, 2 minutes of silence, there wasn't a sound. They did enjoy that. It was special, and everybody grew up with that. So it was very special.
Beautiful.
I enjoyed that day. And thank you for being there.
Yeah, pleasure. Thank you, Victoria. Yeah, absolutely. Monica's going to do something right along this same theme here. So synchronicities, there are no such thing. They just happen. All right. We're going to move along then and let Kathleen read. And Leslie's on deck there. She's middle of the night there in Germany. Thank you for being so patient. We probably should have bumped you up. I didn't think of it. But anyway, thank you for staying with us. Okay, Kathleen from Gibsons, go ahead. It's all yours.
And now for something completely different. So put your head in a new space. Susan stared at the suitcase in the corner of the bedroom. She wanted to kick it, but her mother and sister were watching. Besides, she was too old for that. We were all packed and ready to go the next day. Thank God it didn't happen there. Do you know how hard it is? The paperwork, the expense to get a body out of Mexico? God was looking out for you, Susan's sister Linda said, bowing her head. Never mind that. Come over here where I'm standing. Can you feel it? Susan's mother asked them. Linda immediately started feeling it before she even knew what it was she was supposed to be feeling. He died right there. He barely got out of the bed. He just collapsed on the floor. I called the ambulance, but it was too late. Susan's mother ran her hands up and down her arms. Stand just here and you'll feel it. She motioned both of them to come a bit closer. It's a real cold spot, like ice, just like death. It starts at your feet and runs up your legs until it reaches your vital organs. Then you're really dead, and you leave a cold spot. Linda shivered and crossed herself. Susan rolled her eyes. Don't you two remember? This room is the addition to the house, the one where he saved money by not getting a full basement, but just a shallow crawl space. Then he put in a sliding glass door to the new patio. It meant the room never could be kept warm. He told me it was a mistake. He was an engineer, for God's sake. He knew he should have put in a proper foundation. I'm not talking about that, not the whole room, just this spot. He died here, and he'll go on haunting us, whether you believe it or not, Susan's mother insisted. Isn't it bad enough he's dead? Why do you need this? Susan asked. Why can't you believe? Why do you need to argue? You're just like him. Linda, of course, agreed. Well, you can sleep here tonight, because I'm never sleeping in this room again. Not with that cold spot. I'm not sleeping here. But if you don't believe, Pascal said, even if you can't know for sure, it's best to hedge your bets and act as though it might be true. According to Pascal, even if it's a long shot that something bad will happen, you have nothing to lose by acting as though it might be true. You won't listen to us, your own mother and sister, but you'll listen to another one of your weirdo friends who always thinks they're so superior to everyone else. Whoever this Pascal is, God knows I've never met the guy. Just then a door slammed somewhere in the house. They all jumped. Who's there? Susan's mother shouted. That better not be your friend Pascal playing a trick on us. But it wasn't Blaise Pascal. How could it be? With every creak of the floorboard, rustle of clothing, displacement of trapped breath, it was moving inexorably toward them. Step by step, it was coming back to the cold spot. Linda began to pray. Susan tried to think of what Pascal would do or say, but it was their mother who shouted, "Get out! None of us want you back, not like this." The end.
Oh, wow.
Awesome. You're always a surprise, Kathleen. Thank you. That was very entertaining. Very entertaining. All right, Leslie in Germany, in the land of Rilke and Goethe and all those greats coming to us. We're so glad that you're joining us again, and you're going to grace us with some more of your poetry, I'm hoping.
No, this isn't poetry. This is dedicated to Kathy, who's been my best friend since we were teenagers. And yeah, it was I said we brought out this book here with poetry, but I added this one prose text and wrote it in German and English. I'm only reading English, but as I said, it's dedicated to Kathleen, and it assumes that you've seen the film Casablanca with Humphrey Bogart. Okay, it's called Just the Two of Us. When it was time to go home from camp at the end of that summer, my friend Kathy and I bought a biography of Humphrey Bogart and tore it in half. We had both fallen in love with him that summer after we watched Casablanca on one of the film evenings the university offered summer schoolers. We tossed a coin to see who would get which half. The book was a seal on our promise that we, who had just met 6 weeks ago, would forever be best friends, and that we would meet up again one day. When we did, we would switch book halves and read the part we were missing. When we finally met up again, it was at Kathy's wedding 3 years later. She had asked me to be one of her bridesmaids. For me, it meant a flight from Washington, D.C., to a small town in upstate New York. For my mother, it was not easy to say yes. She feared for my safety. I remember Kathy's mother calling my mother and promising her that I would stay at their house and that they would get me safely from and back to the airport. Even in retrospect, it's hard for me to figure out what was going on in my mother's mind. After all, we lived in Northeast DC, on the other side of town from my high school in Georgetown. and yet she had no qualms about me taking 3 public buses to school in all kinds of weather and maneuvering my way through crowds of tourists. In the winter, I walked in the dark to the bus stop and returned home in the dark. Even then, Washington was called the crime city of the country, #1 for rape and murder. Once my father had a gun stuck in his side, accompanied by a demand for his wallet while riding the bus home from work. Another time he arrived home bloodied after being attacked by teenagers outside a shop up our street. We had 3 locks on all our doors. Kathy's mom and I went shopping while Kathy ran around and got the last things done for her wedding. As we left the house, she just pulled the door to and walked towards the car. "You're not going to lock the door?" I asked, puzzled. "No," she said, "it's closed." I hoped no one would break in the house while we were out. They sure would have an easy time. It never occurred to me that there were actually places on this earth where people didn't have to lock their doors. "Hey, Kathy," I called. It was years later. Kathy lived in Canada with David, and I in Germany with Hans. We had jobs and houses and children and lives and one magical week together. We were on a Wattwanderung from Nordstrand to a Hallig in the North Sea. Kathy squealed as her feet sank into the cold mud. "Are you Rick or the French gendarme?" Kathy looked at me for a moment before she smiled. That's it.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that memory. And I'm sure Kathy is reliving her whole wedding after that. Very sweet. All right. We'll let you go to bed now. It must be middle of the night for you. So really glad that you could join us, and we won't blame you if you don't stick around for more, but we'd love to have you again. So please come back.
Yeah, well, I want to stick around for a little bit more.
Good. Awesome. All right. Rachel Rose is gonna actually read a little bit later. She's got to set some stuff up. So we're gonna go to Joe Lunchbucket, aka Bob. I'm thinking he's online somewhere. And Bob, are you out there in the Zoom land? I'm checking.
Just press start your video there, Joe, if that is you. Because you came on as Bob, and I'm hoping that is Joe Lunchbucket. So whichever one is Joe Lunchbucket, just press your camera and come on.
No, I'm not seeing him.
He's right beside Jocelyn, but there he is. He's coming on now.
Coming on now. All right.
Hear me?
I hear you.
Just can't see you. Just press start on your camera.
Yeah, hit your start video. Bottom left corner. It looks like I'm in infinite regression there. I'm in the screen behind me and the screen behind the screen behind.
It says stop video.
We've got you. Oh,
You're on.
there you are. All right.
You can hear me fine, eh?
I can hear you fine. Absolutely. But you've got a very large gray hat on your head.
I don't know what that is. I see it's like a curtain.
Can you adjust your screen or your camera so your face is more underneath the hat?
I don't really know how.
Okay. We'll take you with the hat on. That's okay. Yeah, we don't want to lose you. So
Stand your head down a bit.
yeah, just duck under there a little bit. There we go. Okay.
Okay. I went to a funeral of one of the old gang the other day and was flabbergasted by the grand testimonials they did relay. At last month's burial, the stiff also seemed too saintly for decay. I wonder if my creditors will lie about me in so grandiose a way. Such high praise, as if they were all born free of original sin. Envious, I almost wished I was the worm food in that coffin. But even if the, I can hardly read this, sorry, but even if the unholy corpse didn't deserve sorry, I can hardly see on here.
No worries.
The holy corpse didn't deserve my applause. His farewell was for a forgiving family blind to his flaws. Humanely, we put our animals down, having them saving them agony and pain. But in our final years, past likely we're unable to maintain. Do we take a number and save? Do we take a number and see if St. Peter, our ticket draws to host the next party? Will Kjorven assist break any laws? Have faith, don't despair. Is it worthwhile, or does grace pay the fare? If the good Lord answers all prayer, why do we seek a doctor care? Clergy say 'tis a far better place to go that we go than this mortal plane. Yet by any means they delay death, doubting if afterlife is a gain. Is accepting medical intervention to prolong our pain insane? Do our preachers always win when they pray for a healing and patient recovers? Is it all due to the deity's merciful dealing? If not, is dearly departed heaven bound and death is appealing? Evolutionists state that genetically apes are our peer, but did creator a dependency faith gene engineer? Is religion a crutch robbing reason and ability to think, but softens grave reality and is a choice opiate drink? Okay, that's it. Sorry, my eyesight is failing, just the same as my brain, I guess.
Happens to the best of us, Bob. You soldiered on. Good on you, man. You got through. That was good, and we could hear and understand. Appreciate. Thanks for joining us tonight. All right, Jen, I'm going to just check in with you here. I know it's getting late in Ontario, and would you be okay if we had a 10-minute break before you read, or do you want to read and then we'll take a break after so you don't have to?
Whatever you wanted. I wouldn't mind going now.
All right, let's go now. And
hang
I
in.
heard keep going from the back of the room, so we're keeping on going.
Okay,
right.
Good.
Live from Ontario, from London, Ontario, Jennifer Wenn joining us. Take
Thank
it
you. By the way, the book seems to be on track, Derek. Last I heard, the guy said he was looking at trying to ship physical copies by December the 10th.
Perfect.
So if that holds, then
we're good for January. No problem.
January should be fine, but if something changes, I'll let you know.
All right. You're written in.
For tonight, I have two quite different pieces. The first one was motivated by the invasion of Ukraine, but is a broader reflection, as you'll hear. It took a while. I got started and made some progress, and then I had to let it ferment for several months, and then just recently was able to finish it. It's called One Malignant Spirit. Like waves on the ocean, they crest and roll past, always another in their wake, tragic echoes of a timeless truth. Just one malignant spirit in power is needed, lusting to warp the world around hallucination, each name a poisonous desecration that will not be written here. Just one clawing at all and sundry to draw in and corrupt, to reveal and empower depravity. Just one to accrete a mob, together spawning a river of murdered voices, as singular as breadline prey of a sniper, as multiform as victims in a mass grave. Consider now that one current driving the deadly flow, venture upstream in search of the sulfurous source, follow the meanders and oxbows, some fractured and twisted, some diseased and septic, and reach a fault in the substructure, begetting a wellspring for putrescence to coalesce and ooze into the waters, always questing for release, questing for more, always yearning to dominate and defile. And when the infernal way is found, lesser spirits are inevitably swept up. Sycophants, opportunists, and true believers, blind followers and hordes infected by shadow, the fearful and the overborne, and legions whose deity is an oath to obey, all swelling and enabling and reinforcing the cancerous lodestone devoid of humanity, a stranger to compassion, empathy, and faith, who sees not people but concepts, for whom all of us divine sparks are merely tools, targets, and obstacles, who would rejoice over Dante's sorrowful abyss that holds the thunder of infinite screams, but who the great poet would consign to torment eternal, who yearn to play God, but who channel only hatred and butchery. One malignant spirit divorced from light, just one to find the willing and the weak and more, and bind them in Stygian darkness that floods out, bringing death and despair. Yet one more in a ghastly parade, each fighting Martin's arc of the moral universe, fighting its endless seeming curve toward justice that we must struggle for with all we are, striving for a day when no malignant spirit can ever again convulse humankind around their nightmare. Thank you. That's number one. Now, number two is quite different. There, hopefully you can see that.
No, we're not seeing the picture yet. It says you're sharing your screen. You just got to click on the picture itself and it'll come up. So hit share screen at the bottom and then you'll have a,
Yep.
Yeah, there we go.
Got it?
We got
Excellent.
it now. Thank you.
Okay, this is something else entirely. I was visual art is a significant inspiration for my writing. Sometimes directly, many times indirectly. I tend to be more of an impressionist person. So Monet is one of my great loves where visual art's concerned, but I do branch out into other things. And one that's always fascinated me is Jackson Pollock. There's something in Jackson Pollock that's different than any other abstract expressionist stuff that I've seen. So anyway, this piece is one that is hanging. It's called One, number 31, 1950, and it's hanging in the Museum of Modern Art in New York City. And so I've actually seen it in person. And after I read a book about Pollock's paintings, I decided to try and write a poem. So this is this poem. It's called Pollock's Dance. And the epigraph is after number 31, 1950 by Jackson Pollock. And apart from thinking about the painting and looking at reproductions of it and so on, and what I had remembered of seeing it, there was also, there was a movie, there's one movie of him painting that you can find online that lasts about 10 minutes anyway. So I looked at that. So anyway, here it is. Up ahead, pulsing on the wall, lonely, larger than life, an intricate, multi-layered web poised to ensnare in a fractal labyrinth, vibrating to primeval rhythms. Black, silver, and ochre edge splotches rim a zone where at last a voice was transiently found away from addiction's deadly cacophony. Black striations cast from the unconscious dashed down and diagonal, interlaced with white filigree, weaving a harmonic balance. Ochre stick figures behind the veil flash in primal surge and flow with hidden portraits, all knit together by teal and gray webbing, the quiet foundation for a dance of drip, pour, and fling. Gaze down, genuflect, and circle your once and future monumental canvas. Swirl in sub rosa silhouettes, sling the foundation splashes, decant knots of pain and joy, sweep, sidestep, sweep, sidestep, sweep, sidestep, gently drizzle and dribble, slash and lash, lovingly trickle and trill, skip round and round, circle and wheel, coil and meander, flick, step, flick, step, flick, step, drip, fling, and pour forth this eternal moment, a priceless interlude reaped from a drunken whirlwind, consuming death defied by passionate life.
Beautiful. Wow. And powerful, thought-provoking response to that interesting painting. And I had the feeling, it's funny, before you even read your poem, as I was looking at it, it's like he was trying to capture the invisible by throwing paint on it to render the invisible visible. And
yeah,
that's the sense I got out of what you're writing. And you can almost see it and feel it in places in there. It's like there's I don't know, there are spirits trapped behind that web of paint almost. Yeah, beautiful. I just love the way you approached it. That was great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, super. All right, we're going to carry on, and we've got a live reader here at Char's Landing, and Monica is going to share with us something regarding Remembrance Day, I believe, judging by the poppy. Take it away.
It has to do with Remembrance Day, and it's actually, I call it the National Canadian Memorial Chapter.
I don't know if that microphone is on. Just hang on a second, Monica.
Yes. Yes, okay. So I call this the National Canadian Memorial Chapel.
Just come a little closer to the microphone. You're going to have to speak right into it there.
After my late husband's passing, I was going in and out different churches to try to find the right church for me. One day I walked into Canadian Memorial United Church. I stopped by the word memorial because that word one doesn't take lightly. It has a huge meaning to me. I started to ask questions like, why is this place called Memorial? I was surprised how poor answers I got. So I decided to walk into United Church archives. The archives were in an old building in the basement in Vancouver. The young man who worked there, Blair, was doing a fantastic job. Soon I was surrounded with old boxes full of newspaper clippings, photographs, notes, letters, and so on. I started to go through the archives every day from morning to late afternoon for about 1 year and uncovered a hidden Canadian national gem. I went to the board and told them my findings. When the minister came back from her holidays, I also wanted to speak to her privately. What I was saying to her, that this sacred place is a memorial chapel in honor of all the 70,000 plus Canadians that died after World War I. This around July 1914 to 1918. The land was given by Canadian Pacific Railway as a gift, and also the land cannot ever be sold here. Reverend George Foulis was a padre during the war, and a dying man in his arms said, "Don't forget me, remember me." The living decided to build this chapel with George Foulis' guidance and leadership, and all the 2 buildings are built with private money. They never wanted it to be a church because in the war, the men and women were on different faith, and they wanted it to be a welcoming, open door to everybody. What my point is that the United Church and Memorial Chapel is the same building. So 2 families are living under the same roof, and we cannot allow this to be forgotten. Instead of the minister embracing me, she pushed me away. Well, that was the wrong move. Lieutenant Colonel John McCrae wrote 1915 in his poem, In Flanders Field. In the middle of the 2nd verse, it says, "We are the dead, short days ago. We lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow." It continues in verse 3. "Take up our quarrel with the fool. To you from failing hands we throw the torch. Be yours to hold it high." So I established George Foulis Foundation to make them understand what this place means. Well, I was surprised that it became hard against hard between us. I did not see this coming at all. I decided to have open house at my home to come and talk. Then the foundation had grown, and I was very, very lucky. A prominent professor, Dr. Brian Fraser, joined in. We had talks in the church to try to educate everybody about this amazing place. And it has to be honored and not forgotten. This is now year 2018. 90th anniversary was coming up, and I wanted much of the opening day reflect the 90 years ago to be included in the ceremony, and also music, almost a replica. Now the church wanted to send the archives to Toronto and send a lawyer after me. I wrote back and to explain how important it is to keep everything in Vancouver and be free to anybody to go and read the papers. This cannot be sent away. Making a long story short, the church came around by having a fantastic 90th anniversary celebration, and the chapel was filled. About this place, everything had been paid by private Canadian money from coast to coast, starting with the first building, second in command of Canadian Chaplain Service of Canada's Canadian Expeditionary Force, Padre George Follis took charge, built a rehab building with bar and classrooms and Vancouver's first swimming pool for the men and women to rebuild their lives. Second building was the Memorial Chapel, not the church. Everybody was welcomed to this place. It didn't matter what faith one was. There was a competition of how this chapel should look like. It became Canadian-style architecture, won by Twitzel and Twitzel. Lord Byng was an English general and became Canada's Governor General, was on board and agreed what George Follis and his people was doing. Prime Minister Mackenzie King had difficulty with all these different faiths and started to unite them and made one church called United Church during the time when Memorial Chapel was underway and coming along very nicely by people of Canada and their money. So the United States Church established about 1923 to 1925, around those years. Every stained glass window represented its own province and paid by them. I came across correspondence between Yukon's Commissioner George Black and George Follis, who happens to be my late husband's relative. I got goosebumps. I always sit by the Yukon window. Wow. The organ was donated by the 1,500 Americans that died helping Canada. The organ is built in Quebec. Books of remembrance are exactly copy and only copy, identical of the ones in Ottawa. They needed a little bit more money, and an opera singer came and performed and filled the whole stadium. All the money went to the chapel, and now they could finish their last part of it. So 1928, on the opening day, the King of England sent a lovely telegram. Lord Byng was there, and so many people showed up for this historic moment. All I have to say is this. This National Canadian Memorial Chapel has largely been a sacred gem, and unknown in Canada's spiritual development, military, and evolution as a nation. Thank you very much.
And thank you, Monica, for bringing that to our attention and getting the word out there.
Yes.
About our secret sacred gem.
Yes, thank
Awesome.
you.
Thank you. All right, and we're going to go back to Zoom, and we've got Mark Wonneck joining us. Where are you coming from there, Mark? Where are you?
I'm, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
I'm in Qualicum Beach.
Qualicum Beach.
Yeah.
Great to have you joining us, and you're going to share some music, obviously.
Yeah, if that's okay. I just wanted to say first, I've never been to a spoken word open mic ever, and this is so great. I can't believe the quality of the word craft and the talent. So, fortunately, a lot of my songs are pretty wordy, so I thought I'd pick one that they're all about 5 minutes long, so it kind of works out. I'm what's known as a painter. Oh no, not that kind. Though I grew up on the flatland, where it's all horizons and light. Mostly I just paint houses, a little different, a lot the same. usually 2 coats to cover, 3 to call it change. Well, it was so long ago when I first saw her, late at night by the railroad track. She was standing under a streetlight, pulling paint cans from her back. She set to work on the gray walls of the old Bank of Montreal. In the mist, she was like a ghost that found a place to hide. As the birds fly, shadows across the wall. She painted as if not painting was no choice at all. Her walls were walls against forgetting, like a madness to keep you sane, like kindling to compassion that justifies the flame. Just as she was finishing, she saw me standing there, and then she smiled and offered me a can and said, I've got some to spare. But I just stood there, not moving. She said, hey, I've seen statues with more life. And then she laughed and sprayed my shoes and disappeared into the night. I fall in love with shadows, I fall in love with dreams. Love with angels and all that might have been. Well, I thought I saw her once at the hardware store, stocking up on pinks and greens. She was good at disappearing, like I was good at not being seen. After that, I'd heard that she left, maybe headed to the coast. Found that there's no kindness in remembering what you regret most. Some are gonna fly, some are gonna stay, some wonder if it could be any other way. Well, yesterday I got a call for a job, outdoor building wall, paint over some graffiti someone wanted gone. I don't know whose it was, but it was a wild cabaret, a mix of anger and hope and justice and blame. I guess it is a gift to get to choose between whether to play in a world of 2 dimensions or 3. Despair needs imagination, just like houses need paint. I painted a frame around the wall, and I called it a day. I fall in love with shadows, I fall in love with dreams, I fall in love with angels. Some are gonna fly, some are gonna stay, some will wonder if it could be any other way. There we go.
Beautiful. Wonderful, Mark. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was awesome. We've probably got time for one more. If you've got one more quick one you want to share.
I'll tell you what. Okay.
Not to put you on the spot. Just love your storytelling.
All right. Let's try see if I remember all the words to these. It's shorter, so there's that. Her eyes were like shining stars, her fingertips electrically charged. When I saw her down in the park where she was hanging with her mom, she said, I'm in the future playing with dinosaurs. Some run fast, some can soar. We're gonna get some cheesies at the grocery store. You wanna come? I did. Where did it go? I suppose my imagination might know, but it left me long ago for the company of 4-year-olds. I've heard that angels live where the world stops. Leaves play with the sidewalks. Bumblebees wear yellow socks. Windows let the outside in. Sometimes dreams are just like dreams. There's strawberry houses you can eat. The streets as wide as a moonbeam. Flowers cry in the rain. Where did it go? I suppose my imagination might know, but it left me long ago for the company of 4-year-olds. Well, there's a lot of problems everywhere. The world a state of disrepair. How it'll get fixed is up in the air, but it probably won't be some master plan made up by those of a certain age, so sure of what to do and what to say. I really think a much better way is just to talk to some 4-year-olds. Where did it go? I suppose my imagination might know, but it left me long ago with a company of 4-year-olds. Here we go.
Fabulous.
Very good.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. You're like a cross between John Prine and Harry Chapin.
Oh my goodness. Well, thanks very much.
That was great. I hope you come back and join us next month on the 21st.
I will do my best. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, beautiful. All right. We're going to switch over to Peter Paul Van Camp now, coming to us from Salt Spring Island.
Denman Island.
Oh, Denman Island. I'm sorry. Yes, get that.
I don't want to offend anyone on Salt Spring by claiming to be living there. By the way, you've just been listening to my good friend Mark Wonneck, who neither smokes, drinks, nor swears, and has recently overcome the tobacco chewing habit. And so anyway, as for myself, I'd like to read 2 quick pieces here. This is one that I often use to introduce myself to audiences, and I'll do the same here this evening. This is called, I Hope to Appeal to Some of Your Senses. With my innards all a-quiver, I have hunkered in the wings until with a final shiver I appear and read my things. Like a Roman aqueduct that brings sweet water to your lips across the ancient hills until into your cup it drips, I fetch trickling refreshment if your dipper you would dip. Whilst I'm meting out libation, will you lift your cup to sip? Or now, say it is the snare drum playing 4/4 the measure that stipples you in goose flesh, aye, and heightens your blood pressure. You'll find me keen for tempo, when, as but a rhymester mere, I bear my dreams to ridicule. Will you incline to hear? Oh, friends, my voice is not a dinner bell to gleaners far afield. The choicest lines I pen, meat-wise, might only wieners yield, nor is my life the hectic pace of which some show folk chat. You see, performing poets aren't in such demand as all of that, but still, I crave indulgence. It's these footlights boil my zeal. I shan't be that long amongst you. Will you hearken to my spiel? For as nursling is to nipple, or as toper to his tipple, is yours truly to the ripple of a Zoom call, fairly oozing people. I, like a bench warmer with slivers, I've been chafing where it smarts. But now, to raft upon that river that winds sometimes through generous hearts. And I feel that I'm in the presence of generous hearts here this evening. And I will close my portion right now with a piece that I recently completed my first 50 years on the stage just last week. And so here's one called Everything I Have Learned About the Show Business in a Half a Century, or Lively On, Lively Off. Must audience yawn? Must audience cough? Get lively on, get lively off. Open like a ton and finish up buffo, lively on and lively off. Oh, you start him with a wow. You do your middle and stuff. You treat him to a bonbon, and that's enough. Get gone once you've given him your gaudiest guff. That's lively on, lively off. I said lively on and get off. So I'll get off. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Peter. That was fabulous. And
Thank you.
hope you'll come back and join us. And if you know Bill Engelson there on our,
oh sure,
yeah, you would get him to come back. He was a regular with us for a while. He's
if I see him, I'll mention that you're pining for him.
Yeah,
sure.
call him and tell him we miss him. We need him back here, and
I shall do so.
You guys can share the stage.
All right.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. That was
Very
super. All right, we're going to have Port Alberni's own Lori Bradley coming on now, and she's going to join us here on the Zoom stage. Wherever she went. Lori, are you there? Hopefully she didn't. No, okay, she's just coming along here somewhere. Hello, Lori. So I'll tell you a little bit about Lori while she's getting on here as I go into infinite regression again. Lori is a local actress, stand-up comedian, writer of sorts, been known to read some very expressive manuals on toasters and things like that. So we're really looking forward to what Lori has to share with us tonight. Lori, it's all yours. Lori Blakely.
Hello. Thank you for your patience with me getting on. I had to run my phone over to a charger. Whoops. I see I'm on mute again.
No, you're okay. You're okay.
Oh, on my little icon, it says I'm on mute. I just got to turn myself off.
Control of your machine.
Hilarious.
You're ours.
Okay. Excellent. So it's funny that you should talk about Salt Spring Island. I used to live there. And one of my Vancouver friends just contacted me today trying to get a hold of someone on Salt Spring Island. And she thought I might know them, and I didn't. But I messaged someone on Salt Spring who, get this, took a photograph of the phone book and sent it to me. And it was the person my friend needed. And now they've made contact. So hallelujah, phone book. Oh. I digress. My phone is about to die. I've only got a very small percentage of battery left, so I'll try and talk really fast. Nope, that's not possible, but I'll try. So my story is a little bit meta. It's a story about a story I wrote because I was taking a writing class, which was being taught by women that purported to have taught at a U.S. college. So I did a little bit of a comedic thing, and then in sharing my piece with her and the rest of the class, she corrected me on a word that I used, which she had wrong, but she would not believe me, nor would anyone else. And then I attempted to share the story of that story with someone in my family. So here's the bit. I once accidentally, inadvertently, spent 10 consecutive years pregnant or breastfeeding. I saved a frick of a lot on shoes and birth control. Parenting is a thankless job, and not for the faint of heart, nor the average open mic night Zoom participant. You get zero training. The hours are awful. There's no union. Horrible remuneration. You never get to quit. And if you're lucky, in about 6 years, you get a picture of your terror in a homemade macaroni picture frame. Woohoo! Don't get me wrong. I love kids, just not mine. Just kidding. I have 4. But I also have other hobbies. One of the things that I do is I make sculptures out of junk. And I collect a lot of things, junk, to make my sculptures with. Empty coffee bags, ferry tickets, twist ties. Some people say hoarder. I don't like that term. I prefer to think of them as valuable, curated art materials. So I was reading this piece to my class, my writing class, and the instructor, and she corrected me. And she said, the word is not remuneration, it's remuneration. I happen to know the word is not remuneration. So I found that to be very frustrating because several other people in the class concurred that it was remuneration. I don't know why I didn't have a dictionary at hand. This was back in the days of dial-up, so I couldn't really have easily looked it up to prove it to her. But I tried to tell this story to my family, specifically my sister on a visit. And as soon as I got to the end of the story, she interrupted me and said, no, Lori, you have a really good life. You've got kids, you're mostly at home, you only have to work part-time. And I'm like, no. My story is about the word remuneration, but challenged like only a sister could. I think that challenge is a bit akin to like trying to report to the police that someone has unprovokedly attacked you while you were walking down the street and the cop asking you, but what were you going to have for dinner and why weren't you home cooking it? So now I mostly just replace that word when I tell my story. Remuneration, I just say the pay is feckin' shit. And that'll do it for me. And I didn't run out of battery. Yay!
You hung in there. It lasted. Awesome. Thank you, Lori. Entertaining as always, and glad to have you back. And please join us again next month on the 21st of December.
Okay.
All righty. Looks like I'm up next, so I'm going to go over to the microphone and pretend to be one of the open mic readers. I'll be right back. There we go. A quick adjustment. Hopefully everybody can hear me okay. I've got about 3 poems I want to share with you this evening. Maybe only 2. We'll see how it goes. The first one is called Wet Edges, and goes something like this. Karl rolls a coat of Balboa mist gray latex on my living room wall and talks over his shoulder about the importance of keeping a wet edge once the cutting is done to avoid lines in your paint job. But I'm thinking about the poem I started last week, about all the unfinished things in my life, from the trim undone in the house I sold 18 years ago, to the apologies I meant to deliver to my ex for all the pain I caused her cutting our life together short, to the other poem upstairs that lays undone, all those lines visible in a life fraught with stutters and stops and new beginnings. I tell Karl that some prose writers like to leave off writing for the day mid-sentence so they can pick up the thread the next day as though they never left. But sometimes things intervene. They fall in love or out of love, They start drinking whiskey and forget to stop. They get so hungry they have to find a job that pays them money and then decide the struggle isn't worth it anymore. Painters have those times too, Karl says, when the phone rings and an old friend needs to be listened to, or their son stops by wanting to drop out of college to go surfing. Thank God some paint stays wet for a long time, he says, but some dries up the minute you take your eye off it. Kind of like relationships, I say it's easy to keep the edge wet in the first years, but if it dries up, it can leave a seam like a scar across a wall. That's why I like painting, he says. It's never too late to do a second coat, smooth it all over, breathe new life into a dying room. I look at the wall he just finished, seamless and gleaming in the light that spills in the bay window. Pretty as a poem that's finally done. Or my love's face, when I angle in for a smooch, feel the uptick of her heart, my head full of wet edges. And this one's a short one. It's called Summer Love. Looking back on my adolescence and my childhood sweetheart in high school when we had to spend that first summer apart. That summer was all grief and pollen. With you and the Laurentians and me hung home, moping like a hound dog cut out of the chase. I painted houses for hire a student, drank warm beer every night out behind the high school, listening to Sealed with a Kiss on the local AM station, my crackly black transistor turned up full. Alone in my room, I worshipped your school picture, wrote you sweaty letters twice a week, read yours 100 times over, then stashed them under my pillow and fell asleep holding myself, whispering your name. When you finally came home, we stumbled around each other, looking for that closeness we had known apart, afraid that love was all constructed and grief a drug we fed ourselves to help a wasted summer pass. Ah, the love in your head when you're an adolescent, right? It's huge, huge. And this last one, based on an incident that happened a few years back now when I went to Walmart with my daughter to pick up some condoms for her. And I'll warn you, it's got condoms in it and more. It's called Price Checks. Buying condoms for your daughter can be fraught with awkward silences. None of the usual discussion before a purchase around the size or quantity, let alone features, latex or lambskin, lubed or unlubed, ribbed or smooth. The less info, the better. You figure just get them and get home so she can spirit them away to wherever she hides them. The whole shopping trip pushed into a forgotten past. But when approaching the till, she shoves them into your hands along with the fishnet stockings she needs for Halloween, then begs off to hit the bathroom. You're suddenly alone. A balding old guy with a deluxe box of snug rubbers and a cellophane pack of fishnets in a small town Walmart, praying you don't run into anyone you know, like the young cashier at the checkout whom you taught essay writing to about 10 years ago, but still addresses you by name every time you wind up in her lane. You contemplate doing a quick pivot and doing some more shopping until your daughter emerges from the bathroom, but the checkout gal is already calling your name, and the fluorescent lights feel a little flickery and surreal as you stumble forward and slip the items onto the counter, not breaking eye contact, thinking maybe she won't notice if you keep her eyes engaged and start a lively dialogue to keep her distracted. But what to say when you can hear your blood siphoning into your cheeks and your ever-widening forehead is threatening to break a sweat? You could say, "Hello, Valerie. I was thinking about that essay you wrote on GMO foods back in English 115. Or you could cover with a phobic joke like, "I found the regular nylons far too scratchy." Or a dad joke like, "I'm passing these out to any teens who come trick-or-treating at my door." But you're too busy thinking what it would be like if you were buying these for yourself, about how opinions swivel in small towns a million miles from RuPaul, about your first son growing up here thinking he was the only gay person in town. When the scanner fails at first to read the barcode, you find yourself wishing she had a microphone and could call for a price check on fishnet stockings to checkout number 5, or better yet, a price check on silence. Thank you. All right, we're going to switch to Rachel Rose now. Hopefully she's, there she is. We have to set up. So we're going to take, how long do you need, Rachel? 5 minutes? 10 minutes? 10 minutes? Okay, so 10-minute break, everyone, and then we'll come back and Rachel's going to entertain us. So come on back, don't go away. You got to leave? Oh, oh, yeah.
Hi, Karl. I want to say the whole time, but I'm up to great. That was so great. I look forward to being back next month. Maybe went to the washroom. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I just want to say bye. Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, it was totally, it was just more for like ideas. I do, I need to help some up in Sprout Lake, so already up the roads. But I'd love to stay longer. It's great. And I'll be back here on the 23rd.
Friends. And, you know, like normally it is.
Oh, yeah. So relaxed here. It's good. You're being supportive.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to.
Cool. Bring some more writing. If you
Yes.
got any Christmas pieces, bring those, but it doesn't have to be a convenient thing. It's totally. All right, good. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
See you later.
So why don't you say hello to our team in house?
Yeah. All right, the setup is still going on, so just be patient a little bit longer and it's going to be well worth the wait, I guarantee you. I have no idea what she's going to do. But I know it. Yeah, while we're waiting, just a reminder about December 21st. So that being our seasonal loose version of Electric Mermaid, where we don't necessarily have to hang with the 5-minute thing. If you have something that's going to go 7 or 8 minutes, that's okay. You know, because I know sometimes it's frustrating. You have a longer piece, but you don't want to, you know, break it up and try and serve it up in slices. So, and we might run a little bit longer because it's the holidays and who cares, right? So, so keep that in mind, and maybe give a nudge to some friends to come along and join us, and we'll have a big holiday party here on Zoom and also live here in Char's Landing. I'm sure if it's not snowing, we'll probably be packed to the rafters in here. And for anybody out there who's not too far away who wants to come and join us in the flesh, guaranteed a good time. It would be great to see you here. And as you know, Char has the hostel, so she can find a bed for you, so you don't have to try and wend your way home afterwards. So yes, be perfect. Yes. Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, and they are coming though, right? Oh, they're not coming. Oh, so yeah, Mark and Peter were going to come tomorrow and do their concert here, and they've had to cancel that, which is really a shame. Hopefully, have you got them rescheduled, Char, for May? Okay. Oh, May. Ah, right. That was the reference to May earlier. Now it's all coming together. Yeah, it's all making sense now. So So that was a lovely little taster then of what we're going to get when the two of you come together and perform here. That's going to be fantastic. And we will spread the word on that one and make sure this house is shoulder to shoulder by the time you guys get here. That's great. Yeah. Yeah, definitely be no snow in May. We can guarantee that. But all right, are we just about ready there, Rachel?
Let's say three cheers to Derek for filling in the setup time.
Ad-libbing the holes, right? That's
Well done.
it comes MC training, how to ad-lib and fill in the holes. Yeah. Let's have another shout out for Char for hosting us here, and to Karl for being our moderator. Thank you, Karl, for keeping us on track.
Absolutely.
And we're going to have a little bit of electric music, a little.
Okay, well, I will start talking anyways, and we'll get her
Okay.
done.
All right, Rachel is on, and stay close to that mic. And
All right, is that you
Thank
guys
you,
can
thank
hear
you.
me? All right, so this is dedicated to the angels who conspired to get us here tonight. I haven't been here in 3 years, not since it's been Electric Mermaid, and if I did, I'm apologize. I don't remember the last 3 years because I got real fucked up and a lot of shit happened. But that's a story for another night. We only got 5 minutes. So today I'm here to reclaim the goddess from within and fill my heart with light as the ground shakes, my soul aches, but the moon's light soothes my soul. And by the stars, I pray that your heart will be calm again. With heavy heart, I may learn to dream without your way. By the ocean tide, I've changed tonight, and I will find my way through the storm. Yeah, it's not even going to scream about it now. I know, the guitar's going to happen. It's okay. It's okay. So I yelled at the moon, no more, I surrender. My heart is yours. Bring on the storm. Not only did the moon hear us call, but so did the earth, sending out a shockwave of unconditional love and filling the creative fire and building and cresting and crashing and dancing in the storm. Up and down my bored soul, feeling the rain dance in my soul. Each wave beating away all the traces of negativity and reaffirming my mission of happiness on a cool wave made of pure love. Music of the ocean sings through us. Gently make sense of the turbulence as I move down the wave. I turn my board the other way, changing directions, changing perspective. My time to reclaim and proclaim my vibe. Have I become a chameleon? Environmental blending, emotional venting, passions fermenting, confusion lamenting, ranting and panting. There's dogs at my door. I just want to be your whore. So tonight we're going to dare to be lovely. And how dare you be lovely? Open up your heart. Now open up your mind. Would it be lovely not to fight all the time? There was peace in the East. Collaboration, advice, sharing of ideas, telling of stories, each in their own style. Creating for the love of art. Creating and helping creator. Nothing else could be greater. Here's an idea. We could all come together. And support one another and dare to be different. Dare to be lovely, loving, and dare to share your passions. They're burning. So let it burn. Let it shine bright like a star in the sky. Let it move past you. Let it consume the chaos with pure love. And just dare to be lovely. Because here in this temple, we celebrate tiny wins. The more I prosper, the more I pray for tiny wins. My head spins, creative explosions, feeling tapped in tiny wins. Navigating the cosmos with tiny wins. Shedding of narcissistic egos, materialism. Nothing but tiny wins here. Ever expanding immortal consciousness. A grain of salt. Silence. Tiny wins. A new creation every day. Tiny wins. Inspiring, conspiring, and collaborating. From all over the country. Here in this place. Our sacred space. Tiny wins.
Alrighty.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you to Matt on the guitar there, Stephen on the drums, and Rachel Rose and her backup
And
singer on her
Raven.
back there.
Bringing the light tonight. Hey?
Bringing the light tonight, the tiny wings. She's got the tiny wings on her back. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much. All right, that about wraps it up for tonight on this version of the Electric Mermaid. So glad everybody could join us, and what a eclectic night we've had. Such a diversity of stuff, mostly for the heart, but also for the mind and beyond for the spirit. And I don't know about you, but I feel, I don't know, connected after having that time together. It's really, really quite nice. Really good to have. So big shout out again to Char. And where'd you go, Char? Thank you, Char, for, there you are at the back. And to Luma hanging up there in the rafters for guiding us with her light. And thank you to Karl for being the moderator and keeping things on track. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you to all our readers, to Pat Buckna for his feature reading with great music and great prose as well. And all of you that put your energy into this. It's a real collaboration, as Rachel would say, from what she was reading. And it's what community is all about. So I hope that everybody stays safe and that we'll get to see you all December the 21st. Don't forget to check out that chat again for getting the anthology and other people's books. And Jen has promised us a small cycle of poems. Hooray! And I had to laugh when I read David's post there. I don't know if Bob saw it or not, about my father went to many funerals in late age. At one with few old pals left, a friend asked Dad, "How old are you now, Mick?" My dad admitted to being 85, and his pal joked, "It's hardly worth you going back home, is it?" Thank you for that, David. All right. Take care, everybody. Love to all, and we'll see you in a little less than a month's time, actually. It'll be.
And thank you to Derek. So if you
Oh,
just go in
yes,
your-
thank you,
compare these
Derek.
two little dots, that's, you just save the chat, so you don't have to write it all down. That's where you save the chat. So thanks again to Derek.
Oh yeah, hit the two dots beside the chat bar there. Yeah.
And thank you, Leslie, for staying on really late in Germany.
Yes, yes.
Having to go to work at
Leslie.
5 in the morning. To go to work
It
for
was
8.
wonderful. It sort of makes me want to, it was just really wonderful to listen. I didn't want to go back to bed.
Well, hopefully you don't fall asleep at work like you did last time.
Well, and hopefully you won't run out of oil and gas over there this winter. You're going to need to
Said that out, Joe.
warm. We're all.
Well, you see our wood burning stove in the background.
Oh, you got a backup. That's
Yeah.
good. Okay.
Right.
Take good care, all.
See you on the 21st.
Good night.
Bye.
Good
Thanks
night.
all. Good night.
Hey.
Night. Oh, I guess we gotta go. Bye bye, Leslie. Have to leave.
Kathy.
Get some good rest. Okay.
You too. All right.
You just take
Yeah,
every
oh,
noise that's
no,
coming up.
yeah. Don't have to leave. Bye bye.
Bye. Bye.
That's scary. Can we turn it off?